sort of witty and jaded, but let's not talk about you. Your coyote song on a rerun. Are you hound dog tired singing all night long? Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna make you not blue? Not blue. Not blue dude, blue moon. Been one or two since I ran into you. Do you need a picture? Well, that gets old. It's hard to take one when your iPhone's full. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna make you not blue?
hang out with me on YouTube. I'm going to give you like 2 minutes. Hi, friends. I'm turning the music down. Don't worry. There. All right. How loud is it? There we go. You guys can hear me for a few minutes while I set everything up. It's like a whole process. Okay. I've also put these headphones on like kind of funky. I just realized. It's fine. It's fine, guys. Okay. All right. Goodbye, friends. Come hang out with me on YouTube. We're going to do White Hot Kiss. It's also recorded, so if you can't watch it, you can come hang out with us. Bye, everyone. All right. You guys get to hear me while how's everyone doing? Happy Friday. Wait, okay, I don't have it in the Slido, but for anyone who's like hanging out, what are you guys snacking on? Anyone got any good snacks right now? While I take a quick photo and post on social. Oh, my White Hot Kiss is like over here. Okay, let me grab the link. My poor phone, she's been getting really overheated lately, and I don't know if it's the weather or what's going on, but it is. Oof. I love all the snake emotes. Oh my gosh. Use the little Bambi. Bambi's the whole reason she's the reason we really care about this series. Okay, there we go. You made a root beer float? That sounds amazing. Oh my gosh. I love it. I am obsessed. Okay, well, let's see. I'm gonna turn it here. Hi, friends. Oh my goodness, I have to say, I need a glass of wine, but I don't have any, so Coke Zero will have to do. Yeah. Did you say Slido? Oh, there is no Slido tonight, so instead of a Slido, we can add one next time. I just wasn't sure if you guys want one. I figured tonight you might just want to like listen and hang out and just like, chill. But we can definitely add one in the future. But I'll turn the music off. Don't worry. Oh, perfect timing. I will turn it off now before it starts the next song. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our first White Hot Kiss Dark Elements Live. It's kind of weird to come back to this after, gosh, the last one I did that was like this was in December, and it was for Kingdom of Ash, and I cried. I did actually cry. I know I tell you guys all the time, I did not cry, but I don't typically cry, but I did cry in that live. And yeah, it's been a minute since we've done one of these, but I wanted to kind of bring us back to our roots and just kind of have a little bit of fun, a little bit of escapism. I know especially for today, it is a bit of a tough day for some people, and so I wanted to kind of give you guys a place to relax. It's a little bit of a break from reality, and you get to just kind of listen to someone talk about a really cool book. There's some fun gifts, and you do have to give major props to Samantha, who's in the chat. She put a lot of these gifts in here, and they're hysterical. I added a few, but she added most of these. And also Samantha, Savanna, and Amanda helped with the notes. They're all in the description of the YouTube video as well, but I just wanted to make sure, give them a huge shout out because they were incredible. So what's going to happen tonight is you're going to see some slides of some quotes from this book, and then I'm also going to be reading some notes, and then we'll take a few minutes to just kind of discuss. You guys are welcome to discuss in the comments everything like related. I'll read some of them out loud. If you ever attended a Throne of Glass live, there was usually, I think our smallest PowerPoint presentation was 40 slides. This one has like less than 15. So like it is the complete opposite. So it's not going to take me very long. So we'll have a lot of time to just banter and laugh and joke about this book. But I wanted to go ahead and just give you guys a nice place to escape from life for a minute. Okay. Well, let me go ahead and show you the screen. So welcome to White Hot Kiss. This is like it's very weird to come back to this like little square. Okay. So this is what's going to happen tonight. It is pretty standard. So we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I just kind of went over it. So again, tonight there's no Slido code. It is just for you guys to relax and hang out and just, chill for a little bit. And then I'm doing what's called the realm recap. This is similar to the Throne of Glass. There's lots of quotes in here. I'm going to try and remind you guys of some of the big plot points of the book. These are the sections are divided into what you guys read in the Discord. So it is divided into by chapters 1 through 10, 11 through 20, and then 21 through 26. So just so you know, that is the order of which that we're going through things. And you get some fun visuals while you're hanging out. So, okay. So first things first, I obviously had to include McDonald's because this book has the iconic starting line that says there was a demon in McDonald's, which I think is, hysterical. But some things to kind of point out as we go through this a little bit and some things that, I just want to remind you guys of. So number one, chapter 1 was the introduction to Bambi and Roth. So this was the first time we got to meet them. And the reason we did was because Layla, at the very beginning of the story, she is part demon, part warden, which is something that we discover. And Layla can tag demons. So she's going through the process of tagging demons to let the other wardens know where she lives. And, Roth runs into her. And the other thing interesting too is she can see what the color of a soul looks like, what the shade is. And so the quote that was specifically described says, different shades of souls were everywhere, humming around the bodies. Traces of pale pink, a robin's egg blue, trailed behind a couple walking hand in hand. They had innocent souls, but they were not pure. All humans had a soul, in essence, good or bad, but demons weren't rocking any such thing. Since most demons topside looked human at first glance, the lack of a soul around them made finding the job of tagging easy. Besides the soulless factor, the only difference between them and the humans was the odd way their eyes reflected light like a cat's. So I think this is really cool. I mentioned to you guys a lot when we were going through this that, hold on, I'm moving you guys so I can see you. I mentioned to you guys quite a bit that when I read this series for the first time, it was really, sorry guys. There we go. Okay. It was really interesting how I really got major Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Supernatural, Charmed vibes because they all had similar characteristics. And I think the soul thing is one of them. I felt like it was very reminiscent of that, conversation in that moment. And then I also put the quote. So you guys, if you're ever curious, they are quoted in here. And then we get to meet Roth and Bambi. Okay, so a newcomer stood well over 6 feet, as tall as any warden. His hair was dark, the color of obsidian. It reflected blue in the dim light. Lazy locks slipped over his forehead and curled just below his ears, brows arched over golden eyes, and his cheekbones were broad and high. He was attractive, very attractive, mind-bendingly beautiful, and actually, but a twist of his full lips chilled his beauty. The black t-shirt stretched across his chest and flat stomach. A huge tattoo of a snake curled around his forearm, the tail disappearing under the sleeve. Diamond-shaped head rested on the top of his hand. He looked my age, total crush material, if that wasn't the fact that he had no soul. Poor Roth has no soul, but Roth is the best and Bambi's the best. So, and then some other things. So the dots oozed together, forming a thick black mask. No, not a mask, but a huge freaking snake. It was 10 feet long and as wide as I was. It sprang from my feet. I sprang to my feet, ignoring the dizziness. The thing spun around me. And then the demon says, "Don't be scared of Bambi. She's only curious and maybe a little bit hungry." We love that about Bambi. So going into chapter 2 is when we are introduced to Zane for the first time. So this is another kind of big moment. I saw his pearly white luminous glow first. It was a pure soul, different from any human soul. A warden's essence was pure, a product of what they were. Very few humans retained a pure soul once they started exercising the whole thing called free will. Due to the taint of the demonic blood I carried, I knew I didn't have a pure soul, but I wasn't sure I had a soul at all. I couldn't even see mine, which is another very interesting thing. I never wanted a snake tattoo until this book. Same. Same. The other interesting thing I think about this is Zane has a very pure soul, all the wardens do, but as you have discovered reading the story, wardens aren't necessarily product of good. They have some of the way they go about things doesn't feel necessarily good. if you know what I mean. So it is a little bit of an interesting feature. Also, his features weren't too perfect if it weren't for those watered down blue eyes all bored and sad. So we love good baby blue eyes. Zane was only 4 years older, but being a warden, he was more mature like most human guys his age. I never knew anything about him. I knew everything about him except what he really looked like. So we learned that obviously they all transform, but she hasn't seen, I don't think she's seen Zane transform. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. So chapter 3, we're kind of moving a little bit faster. By the way, we're not going through every chapter. We're skipping around a little bit, but we are in the beginning. And then once we get to the 20s, we don't really go around of all these chapters. So chapter 3 is when we learn that Roth can be invisible. And then Roth tells Layla not to tag anymore. And he also explains to her that it doesn't work on upper level demons. So he says, we're too cool for that. But back in the whole tagging thing, you just need to stop. And then another really fun Roth quote that we just had to add in here. It says, biting can be a lot of fun, but only when it's appropriate. And that wasn't appropriate. I wrestled an arm free and gripped his. I'm going to do worse to you than biting if you don't let go of me. I mean, listen, this book may be YA, but it toes the line. It toes the line, if you know what I mean. Going to chapter 6, so we're totally skipping. So we discover why Roth is at the high school. We also learn that there are zombies in the high school. And Layla runs into Peter and Elijah, who is Peter's dad. And then we eventually find out it is also Layla's father as well. So she asks him to give a straight answer. And he says, okay, do you want the truth? I'm here because of you. Yes, you heard it right. Don't ask me why, because we don't have time right now. And you wouldn't believe me anyway. You're part warden. And if you get bitten by the zombie, then you'll get infected. Maybe not completely batshit like the humans, but crazy enough to make my job harder. And then she asks, why are you here? Because of me. And he says, for the love of unholy things, why must you be so difficult? I apologize for calling you a prude. I'll even apologize for yesterday. I scared you. I threw a salad in the toilet. See, I was raised in hell. You could say I'm socially awkward. I mean, he is a little socially awkward, but it's fine. Then going to chapter 8, this is when Roth has lunch with all of her friends, which is another big, I mean, her friends play quite a bit of role in this story. But then this was another fun line that we had to include of Roth. So it says, you didn't save my life. You almost got plowed by a cab. And if you wanted to get plowed, I'd gladly volunteer my services. I promise you'll be a lot. And she goes, don't finish that sentence. And he says, it was just an offer, which I think is one of the best parts about the story, is because like, it's a win. I feel like this is like a kid movie with jokes for the adults that go right over your head. I agree. Yeah, totally. I think that's what kind of makes it so fun is, I mean, we definitely see it in From Blood and Ash. I'm sure most of you have read From Blood and Ash, and if you haven't, you totally should. But one of the things Jennifer L. Armentrout does really well is like she toes the line with the banter, even in the From Blood and Ash series. But I feel like with Roth, because it's in a modern setting, she's really in her element. And that is what makes it a lot of fun. And then we also really love this line where it says, people with the purest souls are capable of the greatest evils. No one is perfect, no matter what they are or what side they fight for, which honestly is just something that can be said across the board. It is not just so much tied to one person. And then when we go to chapter 9, we find out that Roth is only 18. Roth and Layla kiss, and then she hits him. So, iconic. And at the end of the chapter, she gets into a car accident. But one of the really key things that we wanted to highlight in this chapter was the necklace from her mother. So she says, the necklace belonged to my mother. I've always had it. I don't even know why. I mean, it's stupid since she was a demon and didn't even want me. And here I am running around wearing her ring. It's pathetic. And then Roth tells her, you're not pathetic. So chapters 11 through 20. First off, we get our little Bambi moment, which we love a good Bambi moment. Hold on, I'm going to move my notes down. So 11 is when she goes to the treehouse, and Peter shows up, and then Peter tries to kill her, and in self-defense, she sucks his soul, and then Roth arrives and basically takes care of everything for her. So he says, that's for being a bastard. Then he yanked his arm back, a long spiny structure dangled from his hand, a spine, and that's for throwing Bambi. Her men really love to rip out spines. It's pretty great. And then we get to see Roth's transformation. So his body changed. This is in chapter 12, by the way. So this is when he's taking care of the body. And we also get to meet Cayman, and we get to meet the little kitties. So he changed against His body changed against mine, hardened like a warden's wood. Heat radiated from his skin, and there was a familiar sound in the skin separating. Wings so dark they almost blend into the night and spread out from his body, arching gracefully. At the tips were horns, curved and sharpened into fine points. The wings had to be at least 10 feet wide, the biggest I'd ever seen. He's got a big wingspan. I pulled back a little and sucked in a sharp breath. His skin was the color of polished onyx and more skeletal than skin. Yeah, you had to add a gargoyle gif. Okay, and then when we continue with chapter 13, so this is when Roth finally admits he's been watching her for years. But he also admits, and this is when we really, I mean, Roth throughout most of the story was flirting with Layla, but I feel like he was coming on a little stronger after this moment. And so I love when he goes, just so you know, your virtue isn't safe with me. So when you look like you want me to devour every inch of your mouth, I will without an ounce of regret. However, I doubt you'll feel the same afterwards. So. And then we find out about this lesser key, which is obviously a big part of the story. So it says in the original lesser key, it describes how one can create a lilin. It's like a seal that needs to be broken in an incantation. An incantation has these stages, like most spells do. They involve the spilling of blood of a child of Lilith's, as well as the dead body of Lilith herself. There's more, a third or fourth thing, but we don't really know for sure. Whatever those things are, if they are all completed, then the lilin will be born again on Earth. And the child, that's me, and no one else, he nodded. And the whole spilling of the blood thing, well, not to be a downer, but since the boss doesn't know if it means a pinprick of your blood or death, he's not willing to risk it. So there's just a lot of thoughts. Chapter 16 is when we get to meet Tony, the adorable little child Tony. And Tony gives them a clue, but what I loved about it was that Tony didn't tell them right away. And I think the big reason, obviously, why was because he has to play the middle ground. He can't sway good versus evil, so he just kind of tells them pieces of it, but doesn't give them everything, because then he has to tell the other group. So you should always bring a token of thanks when you visit a seer. I heard that chickens make a good gift. Everyone loves Purdue, right? And she goes, this is weird. So Purdue chicken. And then we all loved this pretty girls change the rules quote. So I'm not nice to everyone, Roth replied casually. You're nice to her, the boy pointed, and Roth lowered his voice. That's because she's pretty. One day when you'll grow up, you understand why. One day you're going to find yourself chained to the fiery pits of hell, and I'm going to be laughing. Oof. That's rough. It's rough. Don't piss off a seer, you know? Oof. And then this is obviously the quote where Tony explains to them that, you know, where the key is located. Then I have to give the same information. The next demon throws the doors. I can't pick sides or even come across like I have. I've told you enough. You'll figure it out. And then Cayman, who's the demon. It's an odd name for a demon. Cayman is the inferior ruler who remains topside. He, like most inferior rulers, is a demon manager, keeps them in check, reports back to me weekly updates. He's like an assistant. We all love Cayman. And then continuing with chapter 16. So we get to see the elevator for the first time, which I thought the elevator whole thing was really interesting because, I mean, who would have thought an elevator? And it says no elevator, none that you want to go get on. The elevator here only goes down. Even though he said that, I still wanted to get in it. Anyone else? Was anyone like, yeah, I wanted to get in the elevator. I was like, don't tempt me. I just want to see. I won't get out of it, but I would just like to see what's in the elevator, but don't tempt me with a good time. And then I love this. Half of the demons had been on the outs with the boss a time or two. See the wonky doodle banishing spell on the opposite page. That was no doubt stolen from an episode of Supernatural, and I grinned. So we, of course, had to add. For anyone who's never seen Supernatural, you really should watch it because it's hysterical, but also, like, it is literally episodic television. In this episode where he's screaming is like one of the iconic early episodes. And then we also get to hear, when she's looking through the book, we get to kind of see a description of Roth. So Astaroth, the crown prince of hell, Roth said nothing. It's a very powerful demon, the first hierarchy who seduces by means of laziness, vanity, and rationalized philosophies. Sounds like you. He also has the power to make mortals invisible and can give you the power over serpents to mortals. He sighs. Are you done? He doesn't want to hear his own description. Okay, and then chapter 19. So this chapter, scroll on my notes. Chapter 19, this is when she asks Abbott if she can stay at Stacy's house. And he agrees. Zane's not too thrilled about the idea, because Zane thinks that his father and both Layla and his father are up to something. And then Layla and Roth are at Roth's place right before they go on their mission, and then they make out, you know. So we get to meet Thumper for the first time. So it says, causing the dragon tattoo to stretch along him. And even then, I don't let him off unless there's no other option. Does he have a name? He said Thumper. Chapter 20 is when we get a little description about some lesser demons and then also the lesser key. So the LUDs, do I have a description of these guys? Little ugly demons, that's what they're called. They're like rats. They walked on two legs. Their long snouts gaped wide, revealing mouths full of shark teeth. Beady red eyes gleamed in the shadows, and clawed hands outstretched as their tails smacked on the ground. In the middle of the cement block was a cubby, and in that cubby was what was the lesser key. And then carved into the cover was the symbol that had been on a replica the Roth had. The circle and the star in the middle was outlined in gold. The star was slightly crooked to the right, making it off center. Tiny numbers and letters were carved near the 4 points. So obviously we all love a good description of like where a book is being held. So when. And then we're at our last section, which is 21 through 26. See, I told you I could speed through this sucker. So 21 is when Nikolai arrives and faces off with Roth, and then all the wardens arrive, take the book from Layla. Then Abbott, Zane, and Nikolai scold Layla about working with Roth. The argument heats up. They ask Layla if she's still a virgin, which was an awkward conversation, but you know. And then they find out it's because they're asking regarding the incantation. What they don't know is that some of it has already happened because Layla took Peter's soul. And then Abbott grounds Layla. So the incantation requires the blood of Lilith, the loss of your innocent, not just the status of your, well, we've established, but your innocent is also tied to your demonic ability. Its loss is total when you've taken a soul. So this is awkward. Then we find out in 23 the truth about Layla, because I think, or the truth about Lilith. So when Lilith takes a soul, the human turns into a wraith. Neither heaven nor hell gets the human, and that's why even hell doesn't want the Lilith to be born. So it's essentially a nightmare for both parties, which is a very interesting point. The demon he trusted was a Lilith, Abbott said, and because Elijah trusted her, he helped create the one thing that could destroy the world, you. So this is when we find out that Elijah is her father, which was a really hard pill to swallow. I remember the first time I read it and I was like, really, it's him? Like, ugh, he was kind of the worst one of the whole bunch. So just throwing that out there. This is chapter 26. I don't know why I cut off the 6th part. That's probably my bad. But anyways, Layla's transformation and Roth's final sacrifice. So this is basically our last big section. I was burning from the inside out, muscles tightened, hands curved into claws, my vision sharpened and tinted the world in red. Bones broke in a burst of pain and then fused together. Static clung to skin, it felt stretched too thin. Pieces of clothing tore as my body shifted, expanded with the ropey muscles grew. The sneakers split wide open and fell to the side. Tiny strands of hair rose all around my neck. Pain exploded along my back, and it was the good kind of pain, the kind that brought the sweet relief as my wings unfurled, arching high above me. As I lifted my hands, shock fluttered through me. My skin was black and gray, marbleized in a shifting blend of both species, the beautiful mixture of the warden and demon long since buried inside me. And then Roth has his beautiful line where he says, I lost myself in the moment and found you. And then a red light flashed, so brilliant and intense that it had blinded me. From underneath Zane, a howling wind roared into the gymnasium. I screamed, and I screamed because I knew Roth would make no sound as the fiery pits welcomed him. Then later she says, I blinked once and then twice before believe what I was seeing. Bambi, the large snake, was coiled around my arm, raising her head until she rested on my shoulders. A fresh wave of tears clouded my eyes, but not enough to prevent me from seeing a warden coming towards us with a murderous look in his eyes as they landed on Bambi. So, and that's the last quote we pulled. This was it. This was literally the shortest PowerPoint presentation I've ever made. But I wanted to just, highlight a few things. I think the fact that Roth left Bambi for Layla speaks a lot to his character. because we love him so much. He's too good to us. And yeah, there you go. This was the cutie patootie. But now you have experienced White Hot Kiss. So short. I know everyone's like, oh my God, that might be a new record. 25 minutes. I know. I was like, not messing around here, y'all. Look at that. I'll put the music back on now. So that's the whole PowerPoint. That's the whole thing. So I think just to kind of conclude it, some of the big things I would say is, well, number one, I'm glad you guys trusted us when we were like, you should read this White Hot Kiss series. And I was like, this is going to be interesting because I don't know how many people are going to want to read this. But I hope for anyone who did read it that you guys loved it, because it is, the whole arc of the story is really fun and it's really different. And it's a different side to JLA. For anyone, I know a lot of us on Book Talk have read From Blood and Ash, but we haven't ventured out of it. She has other amazing series that I haven't personally read yet, but I know I've heard just amazing things. So I'm glad y'all are enjoying it. I'll stay on for a little bit and we can chat. I can answer some questions, and then I'll let you guys go. We get to keep these fun lives for us. Reread of this series, and I loved it. Yay! I love a good reread. That's awesome. I love it. That's the best. Let me think. What else do I got going? I should turn on my lights soon. I didn't realize how dark it was. This is the kind of series. This kind of series is JLA's strong suit. Urban fantasy with Banner and Snark, her number one. I would agree. I think a lot of people forget that. A lot of people forget that JLA has written a lot of amazing urban fantasy series, and because, you know, their first introduction is her high fantasy From Blood and Ash, but that's not typically what she writes. And so I think it is cool for people to experience this new series and love it. Are there teams? Like, I was right, always Team Roth. There are. So this is a really interesting thing for any, and I won't reveal the end if you have not finished the series yet, but I will tell you from my understanding is when JLA finished the second book, so when she finished Stone Cold Touch, she put a poll, I think in her Facebook group, I'm not 100% sure, and the poll essentially it was like, who should Layla end up with, Roth or Zane? And the winner is the one who she ends up with, and then the next series is about the other love interest, which is very like she had people vote. Like, she literally had people who were like, okay, let's vote. It's which kind of makes sense, because when you read Stone Cold Touch, there's more Zane, whereas I felt like in White Hot Kiss had a lot of Roth, and so you really get to kind of experience both for the first time, which I thought was really cool. But I've always loved Roth more. Even when I read, it's all. I've always been a Roth fan. It's the banter. The banter gets me. I don't know about you guys, but the banter, it gets me. It's too good. I can't deny it. Where's my? Oop. Did you guys just see that? Oh, blessings. I feel like a villain right now. I was like, oh no, I had the Throne of Glass notes on my screen, and I was like, ooh, no. I can't show those to you yet. Oh no, Claire spoiled it for yourself. At least you went back and read. Yeah. I love that Roth gave her freedom compared to Zane. There's a really there's a really cool Yeah. Oh, it says, when Zane left the OJ and the cookie dough. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about that. But yes, so the cookie dough and like all of that, I felt like that was such a great, like little piece of Layla. And we didn't even talk about Danica, which like, it was so funny because I read this book last summer. So I'd already read Crescent City and I kind of forgot there was a Danica character. And then I'm reading Danica's point of view and I was like, or not Danica's point of view. Danica came in and I was like, oh, right. There's a character named Danica. Right. But I thought that was another very interesting piece was like, excuse me, Danica's relationship with Zane and Danica's relationship with Layla, because obviously Danica herself is put into a place where she needs to, essentially women are viewed very similarly to the Illyrians and Akatar, where it's a breeding position. They don't, because their women can easily get injured, is what they say. And so Danica is set up to be Zane's mate, which obviously upsets Layla. And when you hear that as a reader, because you're reading this all in Layla's point of view, you automatically feel very connected to Layla and you want to like obviously be in her side. But Danica, I loved that she was not a threat. Like, she did not want to be a threat to Layla. She wanted to support her and she wanted to care for her. And I don't know if it's because there's an age gap, but it was nice to see that she did not view herself as a enemy, if you know what I mean. The sweet acidic treats was a cool concept to help quench the soul and cravings. I don't know why, but I love this detail. Yeah, Danica tried to be nice. I also really love the acidic treats because my dad is a type 1 diabetic. And so we always have orange juice in our house. Always. And if we don't, we go and get some. But we always have orange juice in our house for my dad. And so I always love the touch. For a minute, we tried icing and he didn't like the icing. So we stuck with the orange juice. But I don't know if that was her intention, but I loved that little detail because it is a part of my daily life. Like, we always have a big thing of orange juice in our house. So it's just another detail of Miss Layla I loved very much. And yeah, I think there's I'm gonna blank on his name right now. It's Sam, right? Isn't it Sam? I was gonna say, pay attention. Yes, Sam, the best friend. Pay attention to Sam. If this is your first time reading the series, pay close attention to Sam. Wink, wink. Because that's another very interesting little piece of knowledge that occurs. So you get to kind of enjoy that. But yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys had fun and you are enjoying the series. Just so you guys know what's going to happen next. So the next book will be Stone Cold Touch. You guys have until, let me look at my Notion. You guys have until the 8th, so literally 1 week. So you have a week and a half, basically 2 weeks, and then we're gonna do our Stone Cold Live, and then you have another 2 weeks, and then we're gonna do Every Last Breath. Gosh, I can't believe it. We're like almost there. So you guys will keep up the conversation in Discord. We'll keep putting little prompts in there and fun things for you guys to like chat about. And then we're going to come back in here and we're going to do another live for Stone Cold Touch. And then we'll do a final one for, why do I always mess up this book? Every Last Kiss? Every Last Breath. I don't know. I think it's because White Hot Kiss. Pay attention to Sam. Pay attention to Sam. Pay attention. Sam is very important. So, but yeah, that's alive. That's the live. I love how it says I started streaming 8 minutes ago. I didn't, but thank you so much for assuming I did. But see, very, very quick live. 30 minutes. Damn. I'm impressed with myself right now. Oh my goodness. Well, let me think. So for Patreon folks, I'm probably gonna give you guys an abridged version of our notes for this live. Or you know what? I might just give you guys access to the PowerPoint. I might put this in a deck for you guys to download. And you guys can look at these lovely little notes. And then, yeah, and then you guys can talk in Discord. But other than that, thanks for hanging out. It was a really short live. It feels kind of weird to have such a short live, but I'm gonna let you guys go and do what you guys love doing, which is reading. So feel free to go read something fun. Go read Stone Cold Touch. And we will be back here in 2 weeks talking about Stone Cold Touch. So, whew, it's gonna be intense, but thanks y'all for hanging out. I appreciate it. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your weekend. Bye, friends. I'm gonna go read Glow and cry. You probably are. Bye, friends. Thanks for hanging out.